Well, so far there's been no public statement from President Obama. To get a Democratic Party reaction to the vote, with me is Rob Carolina, chairman of Democrats Abroad. Does this bode really badly for Democrats, not only now in terms of getting anything done, but for the future presidential race?
Well, I think that this election bodes well for one group in particular, people who spend money. We've seen more money spent on this election than anyone could have thought possible. In the North Carolina Senate race alone, we saw more than $110 million being spent in support of both candidates, but only $30 million of that came from the candidates. $63 million came from political action committees and independents, and a lot of it's dark money. It can never be traced back. No one will know who spent it.
Well, the Democrats have funding behind them as well. I mean, Obama was famous for the way that he raised money for his presidential campaign, especially the first one.
Oh, the first one was before the rules changed. You know, the rules changed in 2010 when the Supreme Court handed down the Citizens United case. That was the case that said we don't need to restrict amounts of money being spent by corporations, and people like the Koch brothers and other billionaires can now pour effectively more than $1 billion into elections in an effort to influence their outcome.
Isn't that slightly ducking the issue, which is that President Obama, I mean, I was in the States last week, you know, all the coverage was about how unpopular he was, the political apathy in these elections. He wasn't out there campaigning. His candidates didn't want him to be out there campaigning with him.
Well, if you want to find unpopularity, ask people what they think of Congress. Right now, the approval rating for Congress as an institution is all the way down at 13%. This election, more than anything else, signaled frustration by the average voter that something has gone wrong on Capitol Hill. Congress cannot function. Unfortunately, I don't really see this electoral result as fixing that problem.
What about, though, Obama himself? I mean, how much of the vitriol directed at him do you think is to do with his background, his race? I mean, there's been a lot of stuff about how unpatriotic he is, criticism of the healthcare introduction, the measures that he's brought in, which has been incredibly hard-nosed, hasn't it, from the right? I mean, how much of an issue is that still, do you think, in American politics, the whole politics of race?
Well, I'd be foolish to say that it's not a factor at all. I personally don't believe it's the predominant factor, but it is an issue.
So why is he so unpopular?
At the moment, I think one of the biggest challenges is just connecting with the American people about the kinds of policies that have been adopted at this point. You ask Americans what they think about individual things that have happened, the idea that their health insurance company can't turn them down, the fact that you don't have to become bankrupt just because your child has leukemia, and people say, oh, we're really happy about that. But then when you say, well, what do you think of Obamacare? Oh, I don't like it. They don't connect the two.
Just very quickly in a line, shouldn't Hillary Clinton now declare that she's going to run? Because it's irresponsible of her, isn't it, not to say, right, I'm going to go for it?
Well, within the Democratic Party, we have to go through a democratic process to choose our nominee, and we're waiting with bated breath to see who's going to declare.
You want her, though?
My role is to facilitate the process of selecting a nominee.
Okay, thanks very much indeed for coming in. Thank you very much.